Okay. And it says we're live. You see me flickering?
No, you look good.
Or just me?
Am
That's my
I
camera.
frozen?
No.
I can't hear you.
Oh, don't. So it don't even matter about me. Joyful, everything, beautiful people. I just welcome to. Can you hear me,
It's like a
Miss
delay.
King?
It's pausing. Yeah, I can't hear. Anybody? Am
Hi.
I frozen? Yeah, I can hear you now.
I can see you and hear you. We both were not available for a moment. But can you hear me now?
I can. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So, welcome to Beyond the Story. Um, so, this is my amazing guest. We're going to get right to it because apparently technology is doing a thing. So, Miss Kenya, would you like to just introduce yourself to the people and then we'll go from there, please and thank you.
Oh, no problem. My name is Kenya Hoover, and I'm actually what you would call an executive or career coach. Um, I have been in the corporate world for over 20 years, and I've experienced various things in my career. And so I'm at the point where I want to own my narrative and I want to share that with others so they can be empowered and inspired to own their narrative and define their own path and not wear labels that others put on you. So this is
Yes.
the journey I'm on.
I like it on my narrative. So, where did that start from you when you decided that you wanted to own your own narrative?
I want to say there's been like little glimpses in your life. I always feel like there's God, that ultimate supreme being, kind of puts things in front of you. Sometimes we ignore them. Sometimes we be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Hmm.
over my journey, I say in the last 7 years, I've been getting like really prominent signs. So things show up in your personal life and in your professional life. And I started to see the same things show up. I've been in traumatic situations personally than they showed up in my work life. So when I want to own my own journey, it started when I was told that I couldn't be a leader, that I was too masculine, I wasn't feminine, too aggressive. All these labels put on me that
Hmm.
couldn't lead a group of people. And so when I was able to lead globally, I own my narrative and I was able to define success in the team, in the terms of my team. So it was probably about 7 years ago I started on
Yeah,
the journey of owning my narrative.
that's beautiful. So I'm been talking to my community, my
Mhm.
society of people, and just letting them know that when making those kind of changes of changing your narrative, it can't just be surface, right?
Right.
So it has to be done on all levels of who you are, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because if you just do it mentally, but your habits still say the same thing, and so the change is gonna the problem is gonna find you again because you
Yeah.
haven't really cut the root of it off or disposed of it completely properly, which
Hmm.
allows you to through and through, inside and out, is how I like to do the change. And it doesn't really allow you a whole inside out
Hmm.
change of the narrative. And at some point, the boogeyman, that thing is going to come back or tap you on the shoulder
Yeah.
again when you do it halfway.
Yeah. Yep. It'll show up in so many different ways. It will keep peering around the corner. So
Agree.
it's not just saying I'm gonna do it. It's mindset. It's
Mhm.
also your behaviors that you have to grow into and saying I gotta let that go. And then this is who I know I am. And you really have to be committed to that. Don't
Right.
ever doubt yourself or turn back or allow outside entities to say you will never be. You own who you are. You define that and you stay at that core and stay true to yourself. You will push through.
I agree. Okay, so we are talking about Superlative Women Anthology Volume 1. How did you make your way into this book that the world needs and don't even know that they need it yet, right? How did you make it here to Superlative Women Volume 1?
Through you.
Oh,
That is
awesome.
the best way to put it. I mean, I know we've done an events before and like there was a connection. And so I know when you like have the right energy and you, I always say the vibration you put out, you'll attract the same type of
Mm,
vibration. So you build your community. I'm a big advocate of a community because you can't do these things by yourself, right? You got to have a community
yeah,
around you. And
yeah,
certainly our vibrations, our energy connected. And so that bond started and the community was formed. So
yes.
you asking me or connecting out and I see it, I'm going to say yes because it's the journey and it's a good place to be because I know I'm in good hands and I'm around good
Yeah,
vibrations. And so I can only grow and get better. So the answer is you.
that's beautiful. So we met, I think it was Success Fest. And I don't know, it was just
Yeah.
something about her, but I'm big on that kind of energy too. And I love getting in a woman's way. And not in a way to where I'm tripping her, but in a way that I can see her as a reflection and we can learn and grow together. And you just gave me that get in her way, get in her space, like be that aggravating net to her that she can't like she has to pay attention even if she's swatting at you, she's paying attention, right? So I love getting in a woman's way, and that was like the energy that I felt with you, like
Yeah.
get in her way, and just so happened didn't even know really all what that entailed or what that meant, but I was being obedient. And
Yeah.
then when the opportunity came, I'm like, oh, I know who I'm gonna reach out to. I know, right? And so it was great. So what is your chapter in this anthology?
Well, my chapter is pretty much about, like I said, owning your narrative, right? And I'm talking about my career journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know if you know, but when you got in my way, right? I think there was a purpose behind that and a reason behind that because I was certainly struggling a lot and really going through the transition personally and professionally, like all at the same time. And I think that I needed
Mm-hmm.
you in my way so that I could get to this point. So when I sat down and I know I had like 4 or 5 different versions of this, right? I was like, I don't know. What am I doing? What am I saying? How am I going to get this story out? How do I tell this in the most simplistic way, but also be impactful? And going back
Mm-hmm.
to my hip hop roots and understanding that you got to put in the work for the magic to come, as Jay-Z said. And that clicked on me. And it's like you have that fairy magic dust that I needed so I can put in the work. So for me, it
Mm-hmm.
was, I don't think you knew, but at the time, I was not really sure where my headspace was when you and I first met. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've lost probably 60, 70 pounds since our first encounter. Like I really gone through a true transformation and transition, not just personally, but professionally. And I think that you getting in my way, as you said, was intentional and it needed to happen so that I can sit here and be here to tell my story that as a woman of color in corporate America, being labeled and being told, and the type of things that we accept or the type of things that we say okay to are not okay,
Right.
and walking into rooms and you're already labeled. My name is Kenya. You know I'm black before I even show up. And there's
Right.
always these perceptions about us and who we are and what we're supposed to be. But when we're able to say, I'm walking in this room and I'm going to introduce myself and I'm going to really tell you who I am. So
Mm-hmm.
the next time that sister or that other woman of melon walks in the room, those labels will be removed or at least reduced. So I think that that's what I needed to say because a lot of women are on this journey in their careers and it's like you're told what you can and can't do. You're labeled and you're defined. You're paid less, you do more work, you're not acknowledged, but you can own it and you can own that
Right.
voice. I talk about my story of me really empowering myself to own my voice when I'm told no. And that's
Yes.
okay because I can be, and I realize at this point that people say you're not this or you're too dominant or you're too much. And then
Mm.
I'm like, you know what, you're right. I am too much. I'm too much for you.
Hello.
You're
Uh-huh.
not strong enough to be on the same level with me, and that's okay. That's not
Yeah.
a one size fit all. So I think the
Yeah.
next chapter is about empowering that way. But also, like you said, you have to go on that journey and say, I'm going to commit to doing this and I'm going to put all in. And
Hmm.
just giving those techniques of journaling and all those things that you want to do to really be comfortable with yourself, because it all starts with you. You have to
It
be
does.
comfortable with
Oh, did
yourself.
you? I just did my jog, so I'm calling it an experience. It's not a jog. It's not a
And-
workout. It's just really putting one foot in front of the other
Yep.
and experiencing whatever that is. And just so happened, I snatched my waist in the process, right? But
Mhm.
it's not about losing weight. It's not about
Yep.
dropping a calorie. It's just about creating a moment that is Sierra and Sierra. And
Yep.
I get to show up and feel every part of this, right? And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
yeah, I know. And so, I got a question. So, although you pretty much described it, but just so we can be like more matter of fact for the listeners, but what holistic benefits did you experience in the process of writing your book? Because I found that so many holistic things
Hmm.
happened on the inside of me when I first started
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think for me, it was that reflection or that mirror, right? Because you say, um, I I'm becoming these things, but when you really sit down and look at yourself, and then you say, I have been through this, and here I am,
Mm,
and I have my scars, and I'm
mm,
proud to show them, because it's not, they don't define me, they're part of who I am. And I think for me, it was like, I mean, there was many times, and that's why it was probably so many versions. I wasn't quite clear because I had to be vulnerable and I had to be truthful. I had to stand in my truth. And I think that was important for me. And there was moments I cried. There was tears
mhm.
that came out as I was like, wow, I'm telling this, but I know that there's others are going to hear it. And that one person who's sitting in the same place I am, who's either going about to walk through this or feeling the same way, those tears are for her, as well. So I think for me, it was that level of vulnerability and really sitting in it and saying, I have the scars. It's not saying that you survived, but I'm a warrior,
Mhm.
and I continue to suit up and armor up and fight for
Yes.
my voice, for every voice that's like mine. So I can
Mhm.
own this. I don't want anyone to define you, Sierra. I don't want anybody to define me or whomever else. I want us to walk in and say, this is who we are, right?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
coming up as me, my authentic self,
Yes.
really living in my authenticity. So I think that was the
Mm.
holistic view for me, to be vulnerable, Kenya. Just don't manage it. Just
Yes.
let.
And I love that you say that because we're living in a world that I really believe because of this virtual reality, right?
Hmm.
Everybody don't want feelings anymore, right?
There
My
you go.
my heart ain't on, my loyalty ain't on, my trust ain't on. You off, 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 off.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that makes us human is because we can feel. That's what makes you a human being.
Yes.
And these are gifts, these are tools. Even the tears or what we identify as joy are gifts to us. They
Yes.
allow us to express and to feel life. Life should be experienced and felt and not just lived.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we can stand up to that story, change the narrative, be
Yeah.
our own hero, and then decide who we gonna show up as, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I needed you this morning. I love this. You don't even know what you've done for me this morning. And this is the beauty of being vulnerable. This is the
Yeah.
beauty of experiencing again. This is the beauty of connecting back to your childlike faith. We done
Yeah.
became adults and done got to be CEOs and 10-figure and 8-figure people that we no longer see fun or opportunity.
Yep.
We only see fear. We only see master plan. When do
Yep.
we start practicing and learning that it's okay to fall and get back up again? And you
Yeah.
remember like children when they fall because they playing, they're so excited about playing. It's us as adults that be like, oh,
Yep.
when we realize if we don't do the oh, the child will get back up, look around,
Yep.
breast himself, and continue running and playing. And I think we've lost that as adults because
Yep.
now we're using our feelings against us.
Oh,
because we're letting it master us instead of us enjoying the experience. I feel you
mhm.
can change the narrative every second and every minute and
Yep.
every hour of the day if you need to. If that
Yeah.
story, if that sentence, if that narrative that you are believing about you isn't the route that you want to be on, or the one that's going to get you to your end goal, then you got the power and the blood bought right to change it immediately. So
Yep.
I love that. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you had to say, because I like quotes, I like mottos, I like things, so I have on my Just Keep Blooming sweater because I like statements. I like
Yeah.
statements that can speak to me when sometimes I'm unable to say them to myself. So I like fashion with a message,
There
not
you
just fashion that like my money. Give me something back, right? So what motto could you say that help you get out or remove one of your limited beliefs?
I'm going to quote Jay-Z here when I say, I learn more in my failures than I do in my success.
Mhm.
And that's so true because for me, you don't always get it right. And the whole journey is not about perfection, right? It's all about
Wait,
progression.
wait, wait, wait. Say that again for the people to the back. So the whole journey is not about perfection. So you mean I don't gotta be
No,
perfect to enjoy this journey?
no, you just got to progress. It's all about progression. And as you stated, don't allow fear to dictate or control what you do next, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes you got to jump off the cliff, and that's okay if you ain't got the parachute, but that's okay. Just
yeah,
jump, just go
yeah.
for it. So
Just jump.
I have made mistakes, right? I have tried things, thrown things on the wall, and it didn't work. But I learned from that by saying, well, I'm not going to do that again, or
Mm-hmm.
I ain't have the right tools to really hit it this time. But
Mm-hmm.
I learned something by saying, I actually am strong enough. I actually have the wherewithal to do this. I actually can become.
Yes.
And you have to just do it. Because I know people say, well, can you, when you say you wanted to start your own business and you did that, but you got a kid and you got all these other responsibilities. That's my motivation, right? I'm going to progress to make sure I can continue to take care of, but I also got to take care of my mind, my body, and my soul so I can be a
Mm-hmm.
better
Mm-hmm.
woman every day.
Yes.
So don't allow somebody to say you can't do it. You say,
Right.
okay, you can't do it, don't mean I can't, right?
Right.
So you're gonna
Exactly.
make a mistake. You're
Yes.
gonna stumble, like you said, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna fall, you're gonna get up, and you just keep playing and running, right? Until
Yes.
you get on those monkey bars and get across. I didn't get
Yes.
it the first time. I fell. Okay. I wasn't strong enough, but I kept going, going, going. And that's what it's about. So for me, it's I learn a lot in my failures than I do my success. Because success is just that mark that's saying, yep, I can do that. I mastered that. Now let me go to the next thing. Let me go
Yes.
add to the next thing. Because if I
Yes.
just stay in that one place and say, oh, I did it, then I'm not progressing.
Right.
God did not design us to just say one thing. We are
Right.
living, breathing organisms. We are to grow and progress and to give back and to feed and to
Yes.
fuel and refuel those around us. And if
Oh.
I don't do that, then I'm not living. So for
Right.
me is I'm gonna make mistakes. You can see my mistakes. I talk about them. I don't hide them, but
Mm-hmm.
I learned in all of them. So my failures are actually my classroom because I know
Yeah.
what I can do and I know what I need to do to get
I
better. So I
like
get the next
that.
step.
I
So
like
that's
that.
all.
My barriers are my classroom, and they're my cheerleaders too. Because
Oh
now
yeah.
they say, Sierra, it didn't work that way, but maybe try it this way. And it's really just altering one minute thing that
Mm-hmm.
will create a. If you put blueberries in pancake mix, you now got blueberry pancakes.
Yep.
Just something so simple changes the narrative.
Yep.
And because we want to do things so perfect, and I'm
There
not
you
sure
go.
how that seeped inside our story or life's journey that life is perfect, but life is the rainstorm, the hail, the sunny days, the blue
Yep.
skies, the dark clouds,
Yep.
the thunderstorms, the hurricanes. Life is everything but
Yep.
perfect or pretty, right?
Yep.
But it is the circle of life, and it comes with principles. And
Yep.
for some reason, we don't want the good and the bad. We now just want the good.
Yep.
But you need the bad. You need the rain because the flower just won't bloom with just the sunshine.
There you
You
go.
need the dirt. You need those dark moments because the seed won't just grow, just being a seed
It won't be.
on it needs those elements, those
Yep.
gifts, those happenstances, those situations to apply, not to to use, not apply, because I feel like we're applying these things and we're wearing them like our
There you
favorite
go.
sweater
There,
instead of using them like that tool. But
yep.
you can also have the right tool and be using it the wrong way,
Wrong way. Yep.
or you
So
can
true.
have the wrong tool and trying to use it the right way. So you need experiences and falling down and getting back up, because these are the things that teach you how to effectively use this thing that we call life.
Life. Yes.
Then now it's not just God's job to make things work together for your good, it's also yours too.
Right. Yep. You are. You have to participate. You got to show up and show out. You have to.
Yes,
And that's
yes.
important to me. Like, when I have women around me, and like I said, building that community, and that's what it's about. By saying, I didn't do it right, and no one saying, "Oh, you messed up," or "Oh, you did it bad." It's like, all right, let's get up. What's next? And
Mm-hmm.
so, pushing through that way is always important to your mind and your soul. Always.
Okay, so before we wrap up, so what chapter in your life? Because we talking about stories, because we all right. We talking about stories, and I say some of us have gotten stuck in the last sentence or the last chapter, or
Mhm.
we allowed that last sentence to be a run-on sentence, and now it is running on into your opportunity. So, what chapter in your life gave you what you needed to be able to turn the struggle, the adversity into the opportunity, into that moment that you said, Kenya, we can do this.
Mhm.
What story was that that allowed you to finally decide that when I turn this page, it's gonna change the narrative?
When in the chapter I talk about when I was let go at a company I had been with for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I had that moment. I knew it was coming, right? It wasn't. I don't think I was in shock, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a shock like, oh my gosh, because a lot of things were going on and there these signs. I always say like God drops these gifts. They're showing you. Just pay attention.
So us really being surprised that the thing that we experienced, that we actually got the warning on, that we
Yeah,
chose to ignore, we really shouldn't really be surprised, because
shouldn't be
we
surprised.
usually always get the sign, right?
Get the sign. So
Okay.
I got the sign. So I wasn't surprised. But I
Uh-huh.
think that moment when I got it, like, you carry your stuff out, and I got in the car, and I said I had that Florida Evans moment from Good Times when she dropped the bowl and she said, damn, damn, damn. Right. It was that moment for me when I realized that this does not hurt in the context that I failed. Because in a moment for a split second, it's like, did I do everything? Did I did I
Mm-hmm.
do it right? But I already had the signs because I had to get out. And if I wasn't let go, I would have stayed in that traumatic situation. So God was like, I'm going to show you another way. You just got to trust and go with it. So yes, I
Right.
had that moment, and then you cry cuz you got to release it. But I wasn't hurt and I wasn't sad and I didn't feel defeated. I actually felt like I'm now ready to be myself, because if I had stayed, I was compromising. I don't like to compromise myself. You got to have
Mm-hmm.
balance. I was compromising who I was. I was becoming somebody other than who I was. So them
Oh,
letting me go was a good thing. But the
yes.
ironic part is I stayed with the company in a different role and my success became something totally different. So I was let go by one group, but I was gained. Another group picked me up, and I was able to really show who I was. My
Yeah.
voice actually came out. I actually said, "This is who I am," and I showed up like that because
Mm.
I let all that go. I had that
Right.
moment, dropped the bowl, and it was okay. I had to tell
Mm.
myself it was okay. So I think that was that moment for me when I got let go.
Yeah. And I think for you, for me, and what I do, like, I think you just described what I describe to the people. Like,
Mhm.
what opportunity is. It is the moment that you can allow yourself to become a better version of you. It
Mm.
is the moment that you get to show yourself what you made of.
Yeah,
And yeah, that this thing might be raking you in 10 figures, 20 figures, whatever it is.
yeah,
And that's a good thing. But do you just stay there?
yeah,
Like, do you not grow and still become another something else? Who else can you be? What
yeah.
else can you experience? How else you can learn a different language? Like, there's so many other cool
Mhm.
things that you can still learn to do while being that. And
Yeah.
so, oh, I love it. Okay, so let's leave. So let's leave the audience with this. So, what top two secrets or things that you can tell the readers, the audience, the people who are going beyond their story,
Yeah.
beyond those limited beliefs, beyond the struggles, beyond that surface level of feeling? Because you said what I say, that I realized that even with the feeling that I can't, I can still know that I can. Because
Yeah.
sometimes our feelings will deceive us if
Oh,
we're only focused on our feelings. So, what two things that you can share that that allowed you to remain you in your success, life, or business? Like, because life is gonna life. That's what we
yes.
say. Life gonna life. Life gonna do what it's gonna do. But in life,
Yeah.
what what two things that you can share that allowed you to be the you in your success?
One thing for me would be, as you said, life is life and it's chaos, right? You talked about this, the seasons, those things happen. I always say, because I learned this from my mother, is that the one thing is always push through your chaos, but don't look back, right? Because we can get sucked back into our old ways. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep pushing through, right? You you don't have to allow those fears or that past voice of telling you what you can and can't do dictate what you become. So
Mm-hmm.
just keep pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing for me, I think that I learned in the success is being comfortable with who I am. And what I mean by that is I'm going to grow. I'm going to, you change your hair, you put on new clothes. Those things happen. But you also, as a person, will continue to grow and accepting all of the moments that I have, whether
Yes.
they are the beautiful moments or sometimes the sad moments, some of those hard moments. But I'm comfortable with being Kenya. I am
Yes.
truly comfortable with all of my scars, with all of my pain and all of my heartache. But the comfort allows me to show up as
Mm-hmm.
authentically myself. In every moment, I am really conscious of who I am. So I
Oh,
always say to people, be conscious of who you are in every moment and don't allow that fear dictating in the back to allow you to turn around so you become that again or something else. Be
yeah.
comfortable who you are. Take yourself out on a date, whatever it may be, but be good with who you are and what you've become.
I love that. So I just gotta lift my hands like, so me and Kenya, we've messaged in Messenger. We've never had uh I don't think, like, we did the recordings in
Mm,
Facebook, but not like this is our first encounter. Like,
yeah,
and so this is what I mean when I say that you being a better version of you makes me a better version of me. This
likewise.
is what I mean by when I tell people I need you to invest in you,
Yeah,
because when you invest in you and we come together, I get the raw, authentic
there you go.
who you are, right? They gonna make another Gucci, they gonna make another Bentley, but they won't make another Kenya. And when Kenya loves on Kenya, Sierra gets the rawest, the
Yep,
precious jewels that life has to offer, and you get that from people and from the experiences.
yeah,
When you allow a person to be able to love them how they need to be loved, and then you bloom into your fullest potential. I'm like the bee coming to take the pollen, and I feel so good. Like, today is great. Oh, it was great. And
it
so,
is great.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so you hit so many things of just my heart expression and just
yeah,
what I'm doing. And I knew it when I decided to get in your way, but for it to just show up and smack me in my face, like, this is the stuff that I like to be smacked in the face with. when you when you allowed yourself to make that decision, and then it turns around and blesses you, like,
ooh,
on and bless me
ooh,
because I decided to show up for me. So me reaching out to you was me showing up for me. Me reaching out to you was me getting past my limited beliefs, stepping over my fears. And you don't know all of that. You just know my words. But this is the thing, that we don't know what a person is truly dealing with, right?
yeah,
Even if I can say, Kenya, I had a dark moment. You hear me saying I had a dark, but you don't know how dark that moment is.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
when a person comes your way, like, just, I just love you. And it's settled. I gotta go back to that. So, um, I think this is cool. You did a lot, Miss Kenya, and thank you for one
Thank you.
standing up to your story, deciding to be your own hero, and desiring to change your narrative, and knowing that you can, and then changing it in a way that another woman can see it and now desire that. Oh, I want some of that too, right? Oh, I
Yeah.
want to be able to change my narrative too. Oh, I want to know that I am who I am, right?
Yeah.
Without the compromising of all that I am. And I
Thank
said, I love everything I am and everything that I'm not. Because I'm
you.
not here to be perfect. I'm just here to be Sierra.
There
I'm
you
just here to be Sierra. That's it.
there you
And so,
go.
okay, I love that. Okay,
Love it.
so before you leave the listeners with how they can stay connected to you, would
Mhm.
you do me a favor? Because this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
just promotional, and just because I want to
Yeah.
know, can you describe me in 3 ways, and then let the listeners know where they can find you? Um,
Describe you in 3 ways.
Describe me in 3 ways, if three
Oh,
words or 3 ways,
there we go.
and let the listeners know where they can find you.
Motivational, because you are motivating, because you motivated me to be here. I'm going to say inspirational, because you do inspire. If you listen to the things that you say, and I let follow you also on like Instagram and all that stuff, and the little spots that you make and you say stuff like, it's just those moments where you be like, I needed to hear that. And then the other
Hmm.
thing I would say is, um, like community sisterhood. I certainly think that you got to build that foundation for yourself, as certainly as a woman of color, and to
Hmm.
surround yourself with, like, I would say like the griots, or you know those priestesses. Like, I see you as that, as the woman who's just the spiritual element to say, let's get together, and let's just get that energy, let's just
Indeed.
keep it going.
All
So
right.
that's how I would describe you.
Thank
And
you. You
that-
don't even know how you, I can't even, that's so, oh, you just spoke a whole confirmation of what my spirit was telling me.
oh,
So this is great. And I appreciate you showing up today, because you could decide you weren't going to do the interview, or you could decide that you were going to come in watered down. And so thank you for being all of you. Thank you for allowing your imperfection to be perfectly you. Right. So how can the listeners stay connected to you? How can they find you if they wanted to be an executive, or if they are executives and they want to know how to master it and change the narrative? Where do they find more of you?
You can get me at wepowerexecutives.com. That's just like we, and power and executives. It's a place where I do coaching and I do development, helping businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and certainly women trying to push through and defining themselves in that space. So that's one place. And also on Instagram, I am Kay Hoover. You can find me there. But I'm excited to be here. I'm really, 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 truly honored and blessed to have you in my circle and part of my community, because you need that in order to push through the good days and the bad days. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and this is just our beginning. I'm really starting to see that now. So I'm grateful to have you on board of this
Like,
sister community. And not that we got to see each other, talk to each other every day, but when you're out in the world being great, it makes me great. So let's continue to bloom responsibly and
yes,
to use all these elements of life to just bloom to our fullest potential.
likewise.
So,
Thank
thank you, Miss Kenya, for joining us today on Beyond the Story. We are going beyond the story so we can change our narrative. And then not just change our narrative for today, but change it in a way that it will promote change for our future.
you.
So, thank
Amen.
you again, Miss Kenya. You have a great day, and thank y'all for listening. Yes.
Blessings.
Yes, ma'am.